Welcome to Strong Female Lead. My name's Tricia.
And I'm Tessa.
Hollywood has been telling us what is and isn't a strong female lead for as long as we can remember. But did they get it right? On this pod, we look at the portrayal of female characters in movies and television to create a social dialogue about representation of women in media. Tessa, how you doing today?
I'm good. At least I thought I was good. The day started out right. I did the whole workout thing. I did healthy food. I did a singular chore. And, and I sat down to watch today's film. And ever since, it's just been a little bit off the rails. I don't know anything. I thought I knew things about things, and now my mind has just been expanded, exploded, just like wow, like this is the caliber of film that is produced. And it really gives me hope for myself of getting my own films produced one day.
I love how you say you thought you knew things about things, and that's a story of my life. So in case you all are wondering, today's movie is Showgirls. This was my choice. I don't know why it was my choice. It just came to me as a So You Think You Can Dance type of film that I thought that we should review, but I didn't realize what was going to happen.
No.
In that experience. Frankly, I didn't realize that I would enjoy or be, let's not even say enjoy, be as entertained as I was by it, unable to take my eyes away from the things that were happening to my face and my eyes. I didn't know what to expect, and this is not what I expected. I didn't expect these feelings that I can't identify. I didn't expect this.
Like, I feel like I've seen this movie before, but I know that now in retrospect, I know that I've only seen the extremely edited version that would come on like USA very randomly. And so
very different movie.
It's a very different movie than the one that I remember like feeling a little risque watching. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's like 11 p.m. What's on USA? Showgirls. Ooh, I shouldn't be watching this. But
naughty.
Yeah, but the completely edited version was a completely fine movie to watch. This version, the real version, which I thought would add so much context to be like, oh, we're going to get a little bit more backstory. We're going to get a little bit more like details. We're going to get more out of it. And I just feel like it left me more confused. I want the original version back, which would be the edited version. I want to watch the edited version because maybe I would understand it.
Or maybe you didn't, right? It has to be a totally different movie that way.
Maybe I just never understood it.
I mean,
very possible.
Oh my God. Okay, so Showgirls. Showgirls is starring, the main characters are Elizabeth Berkley. She's playing the lead character NOMI Malone / Holly Ann Costello. Then there's Gina Gershwin as Crystal Connors. Kyle MacLachlan as Zach Carey, and I guess those are the big names. And the plot is basically, young NOMI. She's a drifter. She hitchhikes to Las Vegas, hoping to make it as a showgirl. She's working as a stripper at the club called Cheetah, and then she is using, I don't know, like her dancing attracts the attention of certain people that think that she'd be good for the role. And then she, is basically clawing her way to the top at the Stardust Casino as part of the Showgirls, like big Vegas show. So she's just clawing her way to the top in Las Vegas. Let's put it that way. Hitchhiker. And then she works as a dancer at a strip club, and then she wants to be a part of Showgirls. That's basically it. Right? I mean, that's the like primary that's just what it is. And then there's a lot of violence and anger and bizarre activity.
Yeah. But yeah, that is 100% the plot. You nailed it. But that doesn't explain what I just watched. That doesn't explain the past 2 hours of my life.
That's exactly it. I didn't know how to, like, the plot is so simple. She's just a street smart drifter. She goes to Vegas. She climbs the seedy hierarchy from stripper to showgirl in Vegas. But that does not explain the experience. The experience of watching this is fucking bonkers. For any of you that have seen it, like, or haven't seen it, I mean, if you have seen it and you're around our age, watch it again. It's a different type of watch in 2021 than 95. If you haven't seen it, watch it for the first time. It's worth a watch. It 100%, I think, is worth seeing. But
I feel you just need to be in on the cultural experience that is Showgirls. Right. And so, yeah, it's definitely you should watch this. This should be a required viewing, in my opinion, just in case. You never know when it's going to come up on, like, Jeopardy or something, and you'll be ready. Be like, what was the serial killer's name in Showgirls? NOMI. I think she's a serial killer. Like, I think she is a murderer.
I would have loved if that were part of it. That would have been great. Like, that would have made it more of kind of a satire, in a sense.
Yeah, because people would have constantly, continuously underestimated her, and she would just keep giving them their comeuppance for being misogynistic assholes. But I'm not convinced that's not what was happening. Because in this first scene, she's got a suitcase, and she gets picked up hitchhiking. Right. And then immediately pulls a knife on this upstanding young man.
Okay, so yeah, this is actually the kind of movie that you might understand if we not go scene by scene, but if we cover...
No, we're going scene by scene, guys. Buckle in. Like, this was
if you guys used to listen to our podcast the first season, we used to do, like, beat by beat, scene by scene, and then we sort of stopped. But you know what? This is
just highlight reel, but that was my favorite. That was one of my favorite scenes. I was like, whoa, we have just no introduction. We don't know this girl. She's getting picked up and immediately with the switchblade. And I was like, where did you come from? I'm more concerned about her than I was about the man picking her up.
This movie starts fast because all you do is you see her, right? She's like, she's gonna hitchhike, her thumbs up, she's licking her lips.
Yeah.
Like she's about to devour something, and then she gets picked up, and the switchblade comes out within the first minute of this movie. A switchblade. And this guy is, he looks like Elvis, right? Hair.
He did.
Okay, we're on our way to Vegas. I don't know if he's supposed to be like an Elvis impersonator, but he's got Elvis hair. And I don't even know what year this is supposed to take place in. Is it 95? I
have no idea.
It's unclear.
But just based on the fashions, which I was very into, all of the leather looks. All of the leather looks, I was like, yes, bring back like Nomi's Versace dress, or however she says it. That dress was fire. I was like, yeah, I would wear that. That was very cute. I was like,
for Versace.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, so she immediately pulls out a switchblade, and then she goes to Vegas. He drops her off, but then, like, she immediately gets into a fight with a woman. With Molly, the character of Molly, who ends up becoming her best friend, and in my opinion, encompasses the magical Negro.
Yeah.
Sort of, like, character trope.
Who's here to help you for why? I was like, you're not a good person down on their luck. You're seemingly a horrible person with the luck that you deserve. Like, so I don't understand why she feels the need to help her.
100% help her for why. I think that is a brilliant way to say it. Molly is put on this earth to help the lead character, for what reason, it's very unclear, but again, she just immediately gets into a fight with her. And I forget if it's about a car or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're hugging. And then they're having dinner, and she's having a burger or fries and whatever. And then Molly asks her, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "Lots of places, okay?" Or like something like that.
Yeah, and she like throws the food that I'm assuming Molly just bought her on the floor. And I was like, you entitled bitch. Like, ugh. I did not like that. I was like, that was hella rude. Hella rude.
So like, right. So the character is just over the top. Like the range of emotion is very limited, and she is 100 to 200 at all times. And we're supposed to hate this character. I think that's really like what people I don't know if we're supposed to hate her, but like a lot of people end up hating her because she's totally abrasive. But looking at it now through the lens that I do after having read about it, this is supposedly supposed to be a satire. So she's going to be crazy like that. And she's supposed to be. I don't think this is Elizabeth Berkley's decision to have this range of emotions, but it's the director's decision. Yet it's still like uncomfortable to watch. Yet it's very like, I can't take my eyes away because I think she's about to like slap anybody that comes her way, which pretty much she does. She's very physical. She's put like, if someone is just walking in front of her, she's shoving them out of the way. She's slamming every door. She's throwing food. Like she's spitting in people's faces. Like it is constant and it is unreal to see.
It was unbelievable. And this, again, just adds to my case that she is some sort of psycho killer. I think everything in this makes the case that she is on America's Most Wanted list. She's very lucky that this is happening before the internet because we would be canceling her actively. Like, I would lead that charge. She needs to be canceled and deplatformed. Like, I just can't with her. She is the literal worst. And yeah, I agree. It's very hard to like her. Even when good things happen to her, I'm just like, we couldn't give this to anyone else.
Right. Oh, I know. Good things keep happening to her.
Disturbing. Like,
it's really, really hard to like her, but I don't know if we're supposed to. And
but I think that's mean. I feel like that's a mean choice to not have us root for her, or really anyone. I think that's an interesting choice to take for a satirical look at something, to not even have a hero, unless maybe in some people's eyes
she's the anti-hero or something, right? I mean, there's lots of heroes that we don't like.
Yeah, but an anti-hero is also like aware that they're doing the right thing, even if that they're doing the wrong thing, even if it's for the right reasons. She seems to be completely unaware that the things that she's doing are abrasive, and people, people don't like you, except for Gina, who loves her, kind of, in a predator way. My favorite character is Gina Gershon. Ugh, she's a 10.
Yes. Oh God. Okay. So let's. I mean, okay. So all of a sudden, Molly and Nomi are roommates, and they're living together. And Molly is like a costume designer for the Goddess show at the Showgirls show at the Stardust Casino. So then Molly invites Nomi, and Nomi goes. And she just becomes very enthralled with the whole performance. And Nomi, we later find out, is an incredible dancer. And she's dancing at the Cheetah's Topless Club. And I mean, she's got skills. So she definitely has the skills to be doing the Goddess show. And just to kind of, what's so fascinating about this is Cheetah's Topless Club and Goddess are both, as you know, one of the other unlikable characters in the movie. I forget his name, but he kind of has a thing with Elizabeth Berkley's character. He says, you know, they're both giving tits and ass, right? Yeah. And they're just doing it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
One is considered like lowbrow, the other is highbrow. It's just kind of, it's a little fascinating interplay.
Yeah.
But we meet Gina Gershwin. We meet Crystal Crystal. I just have to point that out. I don't like that spelling.
Which is not even the spelling of the champagne. So I was like, what happened? She's like, I took my name from this champagne. Like, I can just imagine her as an old lady. I just cannot. I want to be her. Like, if my life goes to plan, I will wind up a Gina Gershon like character as a bar fly at some bar that I'm inappropriately, like, it's very young and I'm very old and I'm just here to usher in the newest group of recruits, and like, it'd be so good. I have such plans.
That cracks me up, but I like, I mean, you know,
in a fur coat. Yeah. I don't wear a fur coat and a bra for no reason when I get old.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. So yeah. Gina, like, is not at all put off by, I forget what NOMI does, but she does something physical, whether it be like push something or slam a door, or she's constantly stalking off, right? Like, her walking is a constant stalking, and it's filming her from behind, and it's like bam, 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 like every time. She does something like that after meeting Gina Gershwin.
I just want to know what the director was telling her. Like, at the end of this scene, I really just need it needs to be a 10. Like, wherever you start, that's fine. But when you leave this scene, it needs to be a 10, because she never keeps that same energy to the next scene. She's always like, I was like, this is the visual representation of what I imagine borderline personality disorder looks like. Because everything is a peak and then a steep valley. And I was like, what are you doing?
You're right. And she starts from a certain level and then it crescendos, and it does it in every single scene. And it happens so fast that I'm just like it all just becomes a blur. Yeah, it's very manic. I mean, she's in a high frequency mania throughout this entire show, and her 0 is like hour 100. But so Gina Gershwin ends up liking her for whatever reason after that meeting.
Gina Gershon doesn't like her. She wants to possess her, and I am so in for female predators. Like, I love, and now that I've noticed it, I feel like I'm seeing it more and more, because I feel like I would have written this character off as just being slightly creepy, because she is a little creepy, little creepy, scary. But like, no, she is a full-on like predator in this film.
Then why don't you like NOMI? NOMI's predatorial too.
Oh, I just don't like her. She just doesn't.
Why is she a serial killer where Gina Gershon seems much more likely to pull off the art of serial killing?
The art, mm-hmm. We're all murderers out here. Just some of us make it, some of us are better at it.
I know, I called it an art, and I may question that in years to come, or today, or later during this pod. But like, I feel like it takes a certain level of forethought and planning, and I think Gina Gershon is more suited.
Well, I feel like, like Gina Gershon's would be, I think, like more artful, but I feel like not a crime of passion, but like when you spree killer is NOMI, which is just like less impressive.
Yeah. Oh no, I would buy that in a heartbeat. Like Gina Gershon would be, you'd
like send a note with a cipher, and I'd be like,
like Eve. What is the show? Not All About Eve, but Killing Eve. She's like the Killing Eve killer.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah,
but so
to which NOMI was not a great like counterbalance. Like, I don't know. Like in Killing Eve, like you've got the murderer, and then you've got Sandra Oh's character, which is a perfect counterbalance. And this felt more predatory because NOMI wasn't a counterbalance. And like she caught on at some point, but then again, I'm like, she didn't really.
No, her anger just turned Gina Gershon on. it was a total turn on for her. Like, I mean, it was just like her, like every time she freaked out, Gina Gershon looked like she was like getting wet, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. The
Like,
weird,
where it's like, more Clarice, like, you know, falls into his web, the more into her she became. And I was like, how come, like, not talking about, we very much were like upfront with the gay male characters, but it was just like a wink and a nod towards anything that was like girl on girl, femme to femme. Like, I was like, why are we so okay in this movie with like male sexuality and so like offended, obviously, like, you know, just taken aback that a woman would be into a woman. Like,
I know, and it had to be like, it was
sick.
very gray, right, with them, which in a way I kind of appreciate, because in a way it wasn't really, they didn't have to identify as anything. They were just sort of into each other. But it was, I mean, I don't know what Gina Gershon basically wants Nomi to set it up so she has an audition. Although at the end of the day, Gina Gershon wants Nomi there, but below her. So she wants her there. She wants to toy with her, like sort of like a cat and a mouse. She wants her there, but she's going to make sure to like keep like pushing her down just a little bit. And
I mean, in defense of my favorite character, that's exactly what I would do.
Right. She wants a little gameplay.
Yeah. It wouldn't be creepy, but I'd be like, well, this is interesting. Let's see what she does next. Like,
and she has quite a few power plays with her. Like, Gina Gershon shows up at Cheetah's, and then she purchases a lap dance for who we find, I thought was kind of her boyfriend, but really he's like the director of entertainment for the club, the Stardust Club, and is also just like fucking the lead of the show. And she buys a lap dance for him that she watches, and it's bonkers. It is the most intense. I mean, it was like definitely making me blush, because I was like, this is insane. Like, what I am watching is crazy, because it's not, basically she makes him come in his pants. We're gonna have to put a rating on this. I don't think my mom should be listening to this episode, but she makes him come in his pants. But like, when she starts, I'm gonna say, sexing, sort of like grinding, she basically has sex with him over his pants.
Yeah,
it is the most movement. It's almost as if it is solely a cardio exercise, and I have no idea what's happening, and like I'm here for it, but like I was shocked. And she ends up doing the same thing in an actual sex scene at one point in the water, where she's thrashing, and I'm just like, I just don't know what to do with it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I've never seen something like it before. I don't want to judge people's sex, and I don't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it.
Again, I was just like, what is the director telling them right now? What does he want to see in this scene? Because everything is just like, do it bigger, and I don't think that anyone's ever gotten that. Well, I guess maybe
not big enough. It's not big enough.
You know, whatever you're doing right now, do it bigger. And I'm like, I don't know how to have sex bigger. I mean, I guess that was it.
He's having sex until it's not sex anymore, right? Like it
was not great. It was not great.
It was so weird to watch. And then Gina Gershwin, I keep saying Gershwin.
I know, it sounds so fancy. I want to be a Gershwin.
I feel like that's a composer. It's definitely a composer's thing.
Yeah.
Right? Gershon, and she's like into it again. Like, the bigger the better for her. So then she basically sets it up after seeing her sex the director over his pants. Then she sets it up for her to have an audition, which is equally troubling. And the audition, I think, was very, very much like showing us a little bit of what the Me Too of Showgirls is. It was like starting it, where the things, I mean, it's a topless show, of course, but the way that this guy, the director of the show, is handling this is like terrifying. He's such a dick. He's slapping girls. One girl's boobs are
I
so
love
big,
the
he
like
slaps
the
her.
shoulder, like, get out of here, kid. I was like, how? I feel like that's the most like abusive gesture anyone could ever do to me. Just like, get out of here, you scamp. Like,
Oh, I thought he slapped her on the chin when he's like, "Are those watermelons?"
oh, he might have. He was a dick.
He's terrible.
But I think that's like the most offensive gesture. I'm gonna start doing it to people, obviously. But
get out of here, kid.
Yeah, just to like flip it like thing to the shoulder. I'm like, ow, that was my everything. Like, you just,
I know, these are my shoulders. These direct me while I walk. Will you please not please not push them?
Just like, so like, you're just a kid, get out of here. Like, no, I didn't like it.
Yeah, and calling them kids, but like staring at their tits the way he is, and just the whole like, and then the like, I'm hard, why ain't you hard? I don't know why I'm giving him this accent, but like, make your nipples hard, here's some ice cubes. Like, the whole thing is just petrifying, and we're laughing because it's so campy. Like, it's meant to, I don't know what it's meant to do, but I have a range of emotions that I find difficult to control while talking about this and while watching it. I don't know whether to laugh or cry or like turn it off. I'm not sure.
All of those things. This movie really takes you for a ride. It uses every second of these 2 hours. It really takes you on a ride. One that I didn't want to go to, didn't ask for, but you were here on the ride. And you kind of have to see it through also. You're just like, please God, let there be a happy ending. And it ended.
And it's an ish, right?
Yeah.
There's an ish type of ending to it. So like, I started watching, okay. Well, here, let's keep going, and then we can, it's hard not to like dig into certain pieces of this, and like the commentary
dig in. We're like, dig in. We're like halfway through the, we've gotten all the problems.
Okay. So I there's a documentary called You Don't Know Me, which I think is a fantastic title, and it makes the argument that which the documentary has pretty high ratings, which is interesting, but it makes the argument that this was meant to be a satire. And if we look at the director's work, Verhoeven, I think his last name is, it's like Total Recall, and what was the other one? It was RoboCop, and those were considered to be satires, and he was considered to be a director that made satirical films that also were socio-cultural, sometimes political commentaries. And some of his older movies, because he's from the Netherlands, were like that also. And for one of them, he was sort of like kicked out of the Netherlands. I don't know what that means, kicked out. Like maybe just sort of shoved out for another reason, or they were able to actually kick him out for some reason. But he basically fled to Hollywood, which is interesting because most people want to end up in Hollywood, but he ended up in Hollywood. I don't think he was striving to come here, but then he was like, "Oh, American culture, just as fucked up. So I'm going to make these movies," and a lot of them were violent and more like commentary on, the corporate part of America and stuff like that. So then he makes Basic Instinct, and it gets pretty good, ratings. And so then he's like, I'll double down. I'll make Showgirls. And so this is supposedly supposed to be a satire. And if I look at it now through that lens, it makes more sense for this wild acting and just the script and the decisions being made by the character and all of that stuff. But it's still very weird. But anyways, in the documentary, the guy refers to it as this like sex cartoon. which sort of feels like that in terms of NOMI's like sexual actions, in the sense like while she's giving the lap dance or while she's having sex. Like it's so wild. It does almost feel like it's like some weird play on a fantasy, or a commentary of a fantasy. And like, is this movie misogynistic or is it about misogyny? Right. And, you know, the movie that he got kicked out in quotes, out of the Netherlands, that was considered to be too homophobic, but it was considered a movie about homophobia. So it's unclear, like what is happening here, what he's doing. We're not in on the joke, but another thing the guy in the documentary pointed out is like, it's not enough to like have the characters be naked. They have to talk about being naked while they're naked to make sure that you know that they're naked. And like, that is really interesting because when I watched it, they are all talking about their bodies or something about being naked while they're naked. It's just like slapping you in the face with a lot of stuff.
That's really interesting because when you first said that this was meant to be a satire, I was like, obviously, I don't know what the word satire means. So, because this is not my understanding of what satire is. I think it has some of the elements of a satire, but I think without all of the elements of a satire, I feel like it falls flat for me. And mostly in that it's humorless. There is not a funny thing that happens. There's not one moment where I was like, oh, that's ironic, or like, I see, you know, there are a couple of like examples of characters and situations where I can be like, this is an exaggeration of what, you know, being a dancer is like. That's like the scene where he's like, put some ice on your tits. Like, I was like, I don't know if that's true, but like, I can see that as like an exaggeration of some of the notes that you're probably getting as a dancer in a show like this. But yeah, I feel like, or
I guess it doesn't have to use all of the elements though, right? So like it's using exaggeration and ridicule for sure, but not really humor or irony.
Which I think without all four, for me, it falls flat as a satire because I never knew there was a joke being made. Like there's a commentary being made. I just thought you were a bad storyteller. And I feel like the use of those other two elements would have been helpful. At least for a self-aware character like NOMI, like if they were to redo this movie and they made it more like the Office style where NOMI is confessing to camera and we can have a bit of her, wink and a nod to the camera so that we know that NOMI knows that she's being ridiculous. But no, I mean, hate is a strong word, but like we don't love NOMI and we don't understand why any of these people tolerate her. And she's not that talented. She's a good dancer. I do give Elizabeth Berkley some credit.
She's a real dancer, by the way.
Yeah.
So that makes sense why she picked this.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that makes sense why, like, the physical aspects of the film, I thought, like, she has done an amazing job with, like, but that makes sense because she is a dancer. But the acting and as far as the story goes, did the director also write this or did somebody else write this?
No, it was another writer. The writer is, let's see. Oh boy, Esther Haas.
Okay.
And then Verhoeven. And they had both
worked together before.
Yeah, on Basic Instinct. And I think maybe another one. And so, I guess whether this fits into the definition of a satire, I'm looking at the definition, Oxford Dictionary. It says the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. So, I mean, whether this was obviously a satire, it almost felt like it was a satire that they wrote for themselves. Because this wouldn't hit me as a satire either, without being told later that it was meant to be. I don't think it was really successful in what but it has become, it's interesting because, you know, some of those movies that are lauded as incredible, important, impactful movies lose their impact as time goes on, and we realize just how shitty they actually were. This one becomes a little more impactful, however many years. What is it? My God, it was 26 years ago this came out. It makes a little more sense now than it did back then, for sure. At least for me, it has more of a place. It's more topical. Like, it's more, we're talking about that sort of stuff in the Me Too movement and stuff. We're looking more at women and how they're being treated and exploited and stuff. But at the time, I don't think it did what it was meant to do then.
Yeah. For me, this still doesn't do what I think the goal was, which was, you know, if you're going to satirize the sex industry or just to point out vices and double standards, I feel like this doesn't take a stance on those things. And I really feel like the problem is the character of Nomi, and because we don't like her, and
maybe
at least I don't like her.
Maybe.
But I feel like maybe this shows that the same type of abuse can happen between women and women, and, you know, the lens of misogyny is much greater than I think people in 1995 and in 2021 give it credit for, and that misogyny is upheld not only by the men in systems but also by women within the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think if that was the goal, was to point that out and to exaggerate that, then I don't think we needed any of these male characters. It could have just been a much more focused drama on just the relationship between the dancers and the hierarchy therein. I feel like the rape was unnecessary then. You know, a lot of this movie could have been left on the chopping, you know, on the cutting room floor, and we could have had a much more concise story to be told that I think would have been just as medium impactful as this was. Mostly because you're just so lost in the details and in the lights and the glitter of Vegas, because it is Vegas. Like, it's not, you're telling you know, like, what is that one, like Flashdance? If Flashdance, instead of becoming a, you know, like would have been, it seems like this movie should have just been Flashdance.
You know what? I wonder if the writer did Flashdance.
Because it's very similar, but I feel like that one is more impactful because we like her. I forget her name in the movie.
I actually think that the writer did.
Jennifer Beals.
We're looking it up. I think he did. Like, well, I've never seen it. Can you believe that? Welder by day, Dancer by night. Wonder if it's him.
Headley wrote Flashdance.
Oh, okay.
So different writers, but I feel like the execution of Flashdance is better because we make her a real person and not a serial killer.
Right.
Has a backstory and she has stakes, and Nomi just seems to, you know, living in the United States. I'm going to assume somewhere in like New Mexico, to be 300 miles from Vegas. Like, is that like New Mexico or Arizona she's coming from?
Who knows?
Murdering along the way, just living life. And I think that that's what's frustrating, because we don't know her. We don't know what to root for. We don't know if she's lying to us. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that she's what is it, an untrustworthy, like, a character that we should necessarily doubt what she's saying, but like, she says she's a dancer, and then it comes out that, well, she doesn't really dance. You just like, or she's not really a dancer. Like, if I was to say I was a dancer, I would mean that I am a trained dancer. Like, I've trained in the art of dance. And then it's crazy because she meets the black guy who is a dancer, who is not dancing. Just, yeah. But
it's very, and why everyone just like upends their lie. Everyone she truly comes into contact with, she has this like weird charisma, even though she's like busting doors down, throwing shit at people, like all this stuff, everyone is like dropping everything.
Mm-hmm.
Work with her and to help her. I'm just like,
yeah, for nothing. Yeah, that's what are they getting from the relationship with Nomi? Nothing.
Oh my God, Molly gets nothing.
No.
If anything, placed into a terrible situation where then she's getting raped. Which that scene was truly terrifying. It was abrupt.
Yeah.
And like there was blood, there was like weird yelling. It was just very like just happened so quick. Mm-hmm. Interesting thing about that scene, well, this movie was embraced by many members of the LGBTQ plus community and was sort of was commodified into like a drag show. So in some theaters is treated like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is truly fascinating. And a lot of them take out the rape scene. And it's interesting though, because like, while the scene is truly abrupt, it's just interesting how we pick out certain pieces of it, like that are okay or that we want to work with versus not work with. Like, so are they really showing the movie? Are they really telling the story as a whole? Or are they not? I don't know. It's just I understand why they do, but it's just the whole thing's weird. Whole thing surrounding this movie is weird.
Yeah, I just didn't understand why that had to happen at all. It doesn't provide any resolution to anything, or add anything, or just, I mean, and I don't understand why it's not
expose violence.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not happening to Nomi. It's happening to somebody else. And I'm like, if we were going to just try to get the emotional reaction from the audience, make something bad happen to someone we care about, somebody who has stakes, somebody who's obviously exhibiting risky behavior. But no, we gave it to the black girl who's been nothing but nice, caring friend, provided Nomi with nothing but opportunities, and then tragedy befalls her. Like, Nomi is a wild girl. Like, it kind of, I mean, again, absolutely no one.
Yeah, be careful. I'm like, yeah.
Nobody should have anything like this happen to them. There's no excuse.
Nobody asked for it, but there's no such thing as right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Obviously, but it just seems like this. Why? Why?
The why is
it again. It's just like an extreme exaggeration, and I question what the writer and director were trying to show us, trying to get us to understand. Is like, were they saying that everything in Vegas is dangerous and meant to be looked at with a lens of skepticism? Perfect. I think if that was the goal, nailed it. But it just seems like they've gone too far in the exaggeration, and that it's like, it seems to me like they could be saying that the only good, safe, right thing to do is to not be involved in show business and in hanging around with people in who work in show business.
I understand. I question I wonder why it was added. And for me, it has nothing to do with like what Nomi's character was doing versus what Molly's character was doing, or what situations they put themselves in or were in. It was more like, why have it happen to the supporting character? And it doesn't further the story at all. It doesn't further Molly's story. All it does, unfortunately, is set up a situation where then Nomi gets to like discover herself or stick up for someone. So again, it's like poor Molly being in these situations that are like, she helping Nomi discover herself, and one of them is Molly being raped, and then the other piece is maybe to show that this can be happening in a bedroom during a glitzy party, you know, like there can be like lots of celebration and angst going on or violence at the same time. I mean, who knows? But I was just like, oh, this is just, it was just very, very sad. It was terrible. And it was so brutal. And then to happen to the supporting character, just, it was, if it were going to further someone's story along in a way that wasn't just using one of the two Black characters in this, it would have happened to the lead character. So I don't understand.
I mean, to me, like, this should have either like happened or been a part of the storyline of Gina Gershon or NOMI, because it would have made sense, and it would have actually like made sense in the way that both of them have a twisted relationship to power, and no limits to what they feel them being in power, what they should and shouldn't be able to do. It's very interesting relationship between NOMI and Gina Gershon, or Crystal, excuse me, because they both, it's just
they both like doggy chow. They both like puppy chow.
Disgusting. I guess if you grew up with a dog, what are the odds you didn't try its food?
Oh, it was terrible. That conversation was devastating.
Yeah, I just think it was interesting to watch the victim become a predator. And I was like, ooh, I don't know I was like, that is the story that I'm more interested in, is how someone, because there's no way that Crystal showed up in Vegas. Because she said we're just alike. And I was like, so you showed up Pollyanna wide-eyed, got turned out in some way, and turned into Crystal, who sits before us, who is so willing to, you know, put someone else through that same, those same situations. And I just thought that was fascinating, because I was like, that's your story. That is what we should be focusing on, is how the victims become perpetrators of violence and extreme behavior. And you see it when she pushes her down the stairs. Like, she was so appalled through the marbles or whatever. And I was like, where the fuck did you get a handful of marbles? Whatever.
Oh, I know. I thought they were crystals, like, from their costumes.
That would make more sense. But I was like, girl, where'd you get those marbles? Like, how long have you been carrying them? Where did you stash them? They're wearing next to nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Fanny pack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, fanny pack of marbles. I like that. Just a little, just a little weapon.
Yeah. Weaponry. You never know.
Yeah, so NOMI, that's how NOMI then, this is sort of the end of the story. NOMI gets the lead. She was trying out to be the understudy, and then she was going to get the role of Crystal's understudy, and Crystal wanted her to audition for it. Not wanted her to, but like, Crystal brought her there. She knew that she was talented. There was a good chance something like that might happen, but then she sabotaged it. Mm-hmm. And that was an interesting little power play also. And then NOMI's like, well, fuck that. So then she pushes Crystal down the stairs after one of the shows in which they aggressively dance with each other on stage. And then Crystal is in the hospital, and it seems that the way NOMI got the lead is how Crystal got the lead, like, in her own way. I mean, she basically alludes to the fact that she pushed someone else down the steps. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit on the nose, but I'll take it. I mean, I expect it with this movie.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, oh, wow. It's poetic justice, I suppose.
Well, yeah, because then they're being interviewed and they have the same outfit. NOMI has the same exact outfit on that Crystal had in the very beginning when NOMI first saw the Goddess show. And then she, like, kisses the entertainment director. Just like, you know, Crystal did. It was just like, there were just so many, I don't know. I'm just like overwhelmed. I'm like exhausted. after watching it and now talking about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
What to
No,
do.
I agree. I just wish that, I mean, again, if I could just like pop in for a minute into the writer's room and just be like, hey, can we add one more character? Because it would have been really interesting if Molly's character was like a young dancer. Like she was 18, but she had just somehow gotten here before NOMI. And so we could see like 3 generations of infighting with women. That would be very interesting. Who's, the current star, the up and coming star, and the like, ground floor girl. Would have been very interesting to see those dynamics and see, if the 3rd generation girl could break that cycle and not become a Crystal in order to be the lead of a show. And
is that really how? Do they call her Crystal? Are we just doing that?
Well, she said the champagne. She said she named herself after the champagne, and then she spelled it wrong. At least in the credits, it's spelled wrong.
But what are people saying? What are the characters saying in the movie?
Which is
okay.
Because they correct Versace, but they do not correct Crystal.
Oh my God. Well, that was a very pretty woman moment-ish, where she's like, I love that dress. It'll look great on me. And then Versace, which like I get, because I say stuff wrong all the time.
Yeah.
I like that idea. 3 generations, right? Sort of like our sharp objects. 3 generations of victims becoming the perpetrator and how they do it.
Yeah. Hopefully the 3rd gen would be the one who broke the cycle. And downstairs to become the lead was just genuinely better, or started their own thing where they could have, what is that movie where they shoot. Never mind. But there's a one where they're actresses and they do a similar thing where it's like the elder actor. It's 3 female actresses, and so the 25-year-old replaces the 30-year-old, but she's just as like mean and like dog eat dog as the original, and then there's a new girl behind her. I feel like it's a Hitchcock movie. So it's definitely in black and white. So
is
if you
it
guys
like Valley of the Dolls or something?
I honestly,
that's not Hitchcock, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. Never mind.
I mean, so that's how it ends. Oh wait, no, that's not how it ends. Oh my God, no, NOMI, after getting the lead, then just hitches a ride to wherever, somewhere, nowhere, with the same guy that she hitched a ride with to Vegas. So there it is. And he's like, did you gamble? She's like, yes. Did you win? Yes. Something. What did you win? Myself. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, cool. I feel like that's like the epitome of girl boss feminism, is like, what did you win? Myself. Did you? You just won your, okay, cool. You do you. But I love, okay. So outside of him being a complete douchebag, didn't the like long-haired is he a magician? He's a singer? The guy who raped that girl?
He was, yeah.
But
I don't know what he did though.
He looked so much like Kenny G, and I thought for sure it was going to be Kenny G in the movie. And I was like, no, what happened? I was dying when I saw the poster of the guy.
Oh my God.
He was this excited about a goddamn clarinet player. This is my girl.
She's like, I love his holiday music.
Yeah. I would have died if it was him. He'd just being a villain.
Get his Christmas CD out. My grandma used to put on Kenny G's Christmas album.
I love Kenny G's Christmas album. Eve. I am an old lady at heart, dude. Kenny G. That was quality. He's quality.
I did not like the fact that I thought that man his hair was like a little out of control for me. I'd rather see it in a man bun than down like that. For me personally, I thought he was very attractive, and then he instantly went into the rape scene and was like a monster, and I was like, oh God, I didn't know that was coming, and then I just felt gross. Oh God.
Yeah, no. Oh, that rape scene was just.
It was just so
It was.
fast.
Yeah, and just like the three of them just seemed to like feed off each other's energy. The three men, and I was like, "This is disgusting."
Well, it was clear they had done it before, and those two guys were basically his like bodyguards, because then we see them again when Elizabeth Berkley goes to beat his ass up. Rather than go to the police, I don't think you're that good of a person. Elizabeth Berkley, like, fine, you went and beat him up, but like you didn't call the cops. You should have called the cops. But anyways, those two men were just out in the hallway when she went in to see him. So I was like, oh, right, okay. Oh my God. Terrifying. He's waiting for you.
At least she has her little blade stabby. She's too good with it. Just too good. So
she does wield that switchblade with a certain amount of like expertise.
Yes. I'm just saying.
She's had to use it, I'm guessing, because she had been picked up for soliciting in various states, which they brought up later when they finally figured out her background. They got her background check completed. So she had been, working as a sex worker. So I think she just, she probably had to use it.
But I was like, does she know the woman from Monster? It seems like they might be the same person.
That was a really good It was. Although, and Charlize Theron was great, but I was like, are we giving her an Oscar for quote unquote uglying herself up? Because that seems to be a thing. Anywho.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I mean, would you have preferred they just choose an uglier actress?
I don't know, maybe.
Like, how can you be penalized? I mean, the acting.
I don't know the answer.
Very solid.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to it. I don't know if it comes from a place of like envy of Charlize Theron's like incredible looks, because she is stunning. I mean, she's legit. Like, she's got like an interesting backstory. Wait a second. Her father killed her mother.
What?
Now, whoa. Yes. Because she's from South Africa. Her mother killed her father in self-defense, allegedly. And she was there when it happened. So that's sort of an interesting little, now we're bringing Monster into it. She plays that character, and then Jesse Spano's character in this has her father kill her mother. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Putting stuff out there for the SFL listeners. This seems connected. I feel like we're in the same universe, if nothing else.
I feel like we just made some like QAnon connections, but like SFLanon connections.
Yes.
That are really speaking to me right now. Lots of nods to us. We need to get we need to start looking for like coughs and nods and little phrases in movies.
People making the little like eye thing with their hands, like any Illuminati thing, just in case.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw something out there. I can't think of it now. I want to come up with a hint, something I want to see in a movie or by one of the actors or actresses we talk about that's a nod to us. And then we're gonna piece this shit all together.
Ooh, that's so good.
Right? I can't think of anything off the bat, though. Now I feel like there's... Oh, yeah, and Sawyer. Sawyer's barking. Let's say, how about you don't know me? Anyone out there, someone say it, even though it's sort of something that you could really just end up saying.
That the magic of QAnon is the things that are actually kind of like happening anyway. And so I'm on board. If a character says you don't know me, it's a wink and a nod to SFL.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because the QAnon stuff is really, although there was like something super dumb that Trump said where I was like, did he use that word? And it was one of the QAnon ones. And it's not flippy floppy, but it was like something like that used in a speech.
That's my favorite.
What?
Bake and bake, was it that?
It was something like, I was like, that I've never heard those letters together smashed together in a political speech, but okay. But I do not think it was, I mean, who knows, honestly, though. If you believe in if you're in a non, then it goes so far as, like, you know, liberal pedophilia. But do I think that Trump, like, may have, like, played around with groups like that? I mean, for sure. I think he, like, works, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it means what they think it means, but I think he knows how to use that type of
I think that he was, again, interested in anyone who was interested in him. Like, he is old, last pick, dodgeball kid, nobody wants to dance with him. So if you show him any interest, he's on board.
Right. It doesn't mean he's buying into the whole, like, what they're selling, but is he, or he is saying it's true, but was he, like, winking and nodding sometimes? I mean, yeah, potentially. He's a creep.
Especially when you look at, who had his ear during that time, and I was like, there's no way, I know. Some people are missing out on any opportunity to just cause chaos.
Well, let's see some SFL chaos. People speak out to us. You don't know me. Oh! If anyone sees it from this day forward, any new content or new speech or any new interview, that's a wink and a nod to us.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
I love it.
Oh, God. I mean, I don't even know if we need to go into masculinity and femininity. I mean, let's cover it, but I think we basically spoke about it. I mean, at least misogyny.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, this is not, basically, I think this is a commentary on, at least some of it is a commentary on misogyny in the industry. Maybe the industry overall, or the, Showgirls industry, or Vegas, or entertainment. I do think that they're making comment on that, but what about you?
I agree. I think that setting aside that this was made as a satirical effort, I do think
that's kind of you. How kind of you. That's so sweet.
Respectful, but I'm just like, this just seems like what you threw when everyone started tanking. It started tanking. You're like, it's satire. You just don't get me.
Yeah,
you don't know me.
You don't know me.
But assuming that that's true, I feel like the view or the lens at which we look at masculinity was bordering on offensively exaggerated. I would have liked for there to have been one solid dude in this film.
The one guy, James, seemed like he was going to be solid, and then he was so definitely not.
He's got a problem with me, and I was like, that's your actual line.
And he's like, bitch, go get me a beer to his fiance. It's like, I hate you.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't say that. I do say.
You do. Well, people do it joking.
I try not to. I do. But it's mostly in jest. I don't think I've ever. That's not true. Never mind.
Said, bitch, get me a drink to one of your sisters.
No, I would never say that. They would hit me. They don't respect the law. They would definitely hit me. Then I'd be down. I'd be out. I'd take the day off of work. I'm very sensitive.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Sawyer's doing his zoomies.
Oh.
You hear that? He's running around in circles.
Yeah.
Just going to pause for a second. I need to get it out. Hi. Get it out. 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 He has to do it. Okay, lay down. Lay down. Lay down. You're doing the opposite. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Sawyer, lay down. Lay down. It's just something that happens.
No worries. But oh yeah, masculinity. Yeah, I wish there was one solid dude. I find it really sad that the male view, since this was written by a man and directed by a man, that the male perspective on masculinity is that it is hopeless and unable. And I'm like, I find that to be strange. Wouldn't it's very strange to entertain the possibility that it could be different, that the lens can change, that it's one thing to call it out as inappropriate, but then to be like, but that's what it is, and like expect no change, require no change, ask for no change is puzzling, but also accurate.
Have a hopeless message.
Yeah. I don't know what I was supposed to take from this.
It was hopeless in general for Nomi's character. Like, great, she found herself, but like, what does that mean? Because I don't really know what that means for someone like her. If like, because I just don't.
Yeah,
there wasn't a ton of growth. She just ended up making like a better decision, I guess.
But did she? I mean, does she not want to be a dancer? I was confused. Where is she going? You put in hard work. I guess if she's on the run from those bodyguards, okay, that kind of makes sense. But I was like, you just put in hard work and connections, you know, and you're just going to up and leave.
Literally.
To go where? Reno?
Oh, it said Los Angeles.
Oh.
That was the sign. So
okay.
I guess. Well,
maybe wants to be like a backup dancer for like Paula Abdul or Janet Jackson, who were mentioned frequently for some reason. And I was like,
they
okay,
call her Paula Abdul, and I was like, is that right? I'm like, I need to listen to an interview with her because that sounded as wrong to me as Versace. Yeah. And I'm unsure if I'm the one that's wrong. Because if it's Abdul, like Abdul Jabbar.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't.
I think so. I mean, yeah, now I'm thinking, and I was like, I don't think I've ever heard her say her full name. Like,
right.
Hi, I'm Paula. Like, we can all say Paula.
Yeah. It was startling to me. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, I was just like, why do you keep bringing up those two specifically? They're all, like, I mean, Madonna was a thing. She had dancers, and like, why do you keep bringing up those two?
Right.
There's so many acts, and then I'm assuming this is like 1989, 1990, turn of the decade. But there's so many people. Why those two? But cool. But yeah, the hopelessness in which the writer and director kind of,
for sure. I don't think her future was going to be any better. I didn't feel like, ooh, like, you know, Nomi's really gonna, like, she's got something, she's gonna figure it out. I was just like, on to the next.
Yeah.
That was it.
That to me was very puzzling. And I was like, okay, I don't know that she learned anything from this experience, because she's just leaving her friend in the hospital to nurse herself back to health. And
she learned nothing. She had no consequences.
None.
She had zero. She didn't have a single consequence for anything she did or said at all. I was like, now, I don't want to, you know, throw shade on that, because, like, what a way to live. But also, like, whoa, why would she change?
But eventually she would have to, well, never mind. I would hope that one day she would realize that like she is the problem in her life. Like, how many times do you start over from zero and you know, mad at the world? Like, something you're is leaving you without friends, without families, without connections. Like something you're, which is like.
But like, I mean, what part of her seems self-aware enough to figure that out?
Like, how old do you think she is? Like 24, supposed to be? Like, how old are you?
Oh my God! What's really funny is I have no idea how old she's supposed to be. She could be anywhere from like 25 to like 35. Just in the sense of like, I don't have any context for her behavior. I don't have any context for her background. I mean, I do, but it doesn't give me any idea of her age. None of her actions. She's over 21, I guess, because she's drinking. Oh, she's not drinking. Well, she does drink, but she doesn't do drugs. But that's not an age thing.
Cocaine.
Oh, she does still do. Yeah, she does cocaine, right? And then, but there's no like. I don't know. I don't know how old she is. There's no tells.
She could have been 40 and just like she kept it real tight. And I'm like, you know, no shade, you know, do you, girl? But it just seems like she's setting herself up for this cycle to repeat itself until well into her 30s. Oh,
she could have been 25 to 40. Mm-hmm. That is true. She was a nondescript age. Like she was a vague age.
Yeah. Yeah. That's shocking.
And we were supposed to think Gina Gershon is like not getting any younger, but like she didn't really look, the only reason she looked older really at all to me is just because I think I know that she's older than Elizabeth Berkley as an actress for some reason. But it wasn't because of her looks that she seemed older, and she could have been anywhere from like 25 to 45. I don't really know. Yeah, maybe 30 to 45, but like not old.
Yeah. I think that's like the interesting femininity things that were coming up for me is the like these girls' ages and the, you know, women are pretty much just their bodies and their utility is in their bodies. And I'm like, again, what's the exaggeration here? And what is the satirical point you're trying to make with femininity?
Right. Well, I think that was just like, yeah, I guess that part wasn't an exaggeration. Maybe that's more of the commentary piece. Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe,
but yeah, they age out, right? That's sort of what they're saying. But like,
it's saying that you can age out of being a woman, essentially.
You age out of being
and
the kind of woman that men.
Seems to be like 35, you're like no longer a woman, like you are female, but like women are young. Like,
yeah, for sure, because you're biologically, you're less likely to be able to do the things that men want or need, quote unquote, you to do. That's truly, it's based off of male perspective.
You'd think it'd be the opposite though, because all we're trying to do until you like, you know, get married or, you know, you're in your like solid relationship is every girl from like 16 to I'm going to go ahead and say 34 is just trying to not get pregnant. I know. Seems like 35 to like 50 would be the primo age to be a woman. Like this J-Lo glowing, like that's my new desired point in life. And I was like, I just want to be past the age.
I know.
Where, you know, I can't, where pregnancy is like always threatening me.
That's really funny because it is sort of like, it's just like terrible. Yeah. We're not wanting the thing that we're being identified and like looked at for at the same time.
But I mean, those are great things to want if you want them, but it just seems like if femininity is, if the, you know, the most identifying characteristic of femininity is the ability to reproduce, which I just think is a bullshit answer that men just put out there so that they don't seem as trash as they actually are.
It's
and I was
still
like,
trash, though.
Yeah,
even if it's an answer, that's a terrible answer.
It really is. And I was like, maybe, I don't know.
And you know why it's their answer? It's their answer because men are able to, if we're going to say masculinity is the ability to procreate, well, then men are able to do it, unfortunately, way longer than they should be able to, like sometimes into their like 70s. And it's like, oh, of course that's the definition of masculinity and femininity, because we get to retain the definition, we get to retain masculinity forever. It's just unfair.
Masculinity kind of sucks because it's only valid if other masculine creatures say that you are masculine.
Right.
And so women, at least we are women and we are women and we are women. like no one's gonna be like, at least I've never experienced a woman telling another woman, outside of these people who are against trans women, but that's not questioned. Like, you are a woman.
Right.
Whereas masculinity is like only valid if other men see you as a man. Like,
I mean, that's interesting because at the same time, like, femininity is sometimes questioned by other women.
Oh yeah, like
right?
the level, like
the level. But you are a woman. You're like, you're not. It's not like woman up or like, like because. I mean, I'm not gonna like boo-hoo men on it because it's like, please, problems, like hashtag problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, like woman up, you know?
Yeah.
Do that thing. It's like, no, that's just kind of accepted. But then is it just accepted because it's not a threat?
Yeah.
If it is, like, I don't know. It's just a terrible rabbit hole. And then it just makes me think everything's been defined to just truly like push the hierarchy just to keep the status quo. Like, it just feels like everything.
Yeah, it just seems like this is all designed to frustrate us into submission. And if that was the design, then nailed it.
Yes, nailed it.
Yeah, but I do honestly feel like a lot of the time this is just all meant to keep us so ineffective and confused that we stop trying. And I'm not gonna lie,
turn on each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why.
Like, we have no other thing to do.
Girl, if you want these burdens too, come on. Like, if you want to join the team, join the team. Like, I don't understand any sort of opposition to trans people. I don't get it.
Oh, I know, for 1,000 reasons, but also, I mean, yeah, anything. We would love a larger group of allies.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Come on. I don't see no negative, so I see no.
I don't understand that shit either. All right.
We digress.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to be talking about?
I mean, it doesn't even matter. We covered it. I don't even know if I have enough energy. Like, this was so interesting and exhausting. This movie confused me into submission.
Maybe. If that was the goal, then nailed it. Because I now am in such a like, a pliable state that you could suggest anything about Vegas, about NOMI, about Gina Gershon, and I would take it as fact. About dancers, you know.
Yeah, like, I just need a nap, and really, this is, it's like they just, you know, they confused me, and it's like I've been up for days. They filled me with sugar, and I'm like coming down, and now they just need to like put the thoughts in my head.
Yeah. It's exactly like how you get people indoctrinated into a cult.
Okay, SFL criteria. In order to be an SFL, we ask the following questions. Is the lead top billed? Does the character impact the plot? And does the character have agency? 100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah, I mean, she does impact the plot.
She's an SFL, like her or not. Doesn't matter. She's an SFL, man.
Yeah, she has the extreme amount of agency. This agency gone awry.
She is an SFL. NOMI / Pollyanna. SFL. She is. What do you rate? What do you rate this, Tessa?
I'm gonna rate this two nipple pasties. Because it's a watch. It happened. I don't hate it. The dancing is actually really good. The costumes are very good. The Gina Gershon, also very good. And then the rest of the movie happened. So
So 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
Yeah, I would say like 2.5. No, that's like 50. Yeah, I would say 2.5 out of 5. I mean, I watched it and it was way more entertaining than I thought it would be. And it's a movie that you should watch. You really should. So guys, we want to hear what you think. Guys and gals, everyone. We want to hear what you think. Let us know. Do you think this is a commentary, a satire? Did you hate watch this? Did you think it was interesting? Have you seen it? Did you see it in 95? Did you see it in 2020? What are your thoughts? We want to hear all of them. You can find us at Strong Female Pod on Instagram.
Yep. And you could always tweet at us your recommendations. I have been loving these book to movie recommendations that you've been sending us on Twitter. So go ahead and tweet at us for SFL_Chicago on the Twitter.
And rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, wherever you pod. And that's it.
Yeah. Oh, wait. One more thing. Guys, I don't know if you've been listening. Myself and the Podfather Andrew are doing a little side project called This Is Ducks, where we review the Mighty Ducks Game Changers, a new series on Disney Plus. And Tricia has agreed to come on and co-host with us, so it's going to be a little crossover episode. So we're really excited about that. So if you're not already following This Is Ducks, go ahead and find us on Instagram. It's just This Is Ducks. And we're also on Apple Podcasts now, so you can just, go ahead and listen to this on a Wednesday, then pop on over to Ducks on a Sunday, and, life will be great, and you'll thank us later.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think that's it, guys.
That is it, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.